So, now what? What's going on, guys? What's going on, guys? What's going on, guys? What's going on, Basement Bullet? Guys, I'm up here in Forest Lake visiting the video game store in the far north. Where is the laser? I want the laser. This sucks. Can't stop on stuff. You gotta punch it. Yeah.
It's been a few years since I've paid any attention to the price of retro games. I used to pick them up here and there about 15 years ago, but I wasn't really out looking like I am now.
And man, how things have changed.
I cannot believe the prices of NES cartridges. What used to be 50 and 99-cent games are now going anywhere from $10 to $15 at any of my local game stores. But that is nothing compared to the anomaly that is Little Samson.
Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar, let's get this out of the way.
Little Samson is a side-scrolling platformer released in 1992 that resembles Hudson's Adventure Island mixed with some of the dynamics of Mega Man. At the start screen, there's the option to play easy and normal.
Alright, we're gonna play this on normal and see what a $3,000 game looks like.
First off, I can say the game looks good. Damn good for an 8-bit game. The play control is smooth and the hit detection is decent. It's a basic platform game where you jump and shoot at enemies. What makes this game differ from its Adventure Island lookalike is the ability to select stages in the order you like, similar to the Mega Man series.
You play each stage until you reach the end where a boss challenges you. Once you defeat the boss, much like in Mega Man, you receive that boss's power.
Kikira the dragon has the ability to fly and breathe fire. Gam the golem is invulnerable to certain things and has a higher life bar. He can also attack in all directions. KO the mouse can access small passages and has the ability to lay bombs.
Because what else would you expect from a mouse?
Once you've collected all of your allies, the game actually begins.
And it does not mess around.
This game is hard. I'm actually having trouble getting past the first boss, Cyclops.
Stupid Cyclops!
So we've established that this is a good game, but that does not justify its price. There's plenty of good games out there for Nintendo that you can easily find for fewer than $20. So what makes this one so different?
Well, because it's rare.
And it's rare because nobody bought it when it was new. No one knew about it because not much was done to promote this game when it came out, and retail stores didn't have many copies, if any at all. And while not being close to the last licensed NES game to be released, Wario's Woods holds that title, it did come out late in the life of the NES. And by this time in 1992, the Super Nintendo had already grabbed everyone's attention, and not many people were paying any attention to the newest 8-bit releases anymore. So, it's always been rare. But look at these prices in the Funkoland price sheets from 1998. Little Samson was listed at $6.99, and even as little as $2.99 later on. While games like Dragon Warrior 4 were still hovering around $50.
Alright, we're gonna have to look at multiple external elements that help push this game over its ridiculous price threshold.
During the late 1990s, the internet was becoming a part of everyone's daily lives on the same level as television and radio. And with this, we started seeing online stores like eBay and Amazon. And for the first time ever, vintage game selling had a global market platform besides brick and mortar stores like Funkoland. And with this, we, the consumers, were able to set the pricing pages of these vintage games for the first time. But at this time, NES games were going for next to nothing. From 1998 to about 2003, nobody had any interest in them, and most stores just wanted to purge them from their inventories to make room for all of the Xbox and PlayStation 2 and GameCube games. Then in 2005, a new revolution came into our midst: YouTube. With this new medium, we were no longer bound by what the multimedia networks wanted us to see. Anyone who had a camcorder could potentially broadcast to thousands, millions even. And in the fall of 2006, there was a guy who decided to pioneer that medium to bring bygone games to a new generation.
This game sucks.
In the years since, hundreds of people have followed suit making videos about vintage games, and many people have decided to try to collect as many video games and gaming consoles as they could find.
There's even a movie about it on Netflix.
Then in 2007, smartphones made their debut with the original iPhone, and now people had the ability to access the full internet immediately at any given time, namely while browsing in game stores. This brought game pricing catalogs to the hands of many prospective customers while right at the store.
And if YouTube wasn't enough to bring back all the hype of all that was vintage, the Retron surely was.
The Retron systems were released between 2012 and 2014 and allowed gamers to play games from up to 9 different systems. This brought cartridge demand back from the dead even more to a generation of 1980s kids who are now in their 30s with disposable incomes. And the final icing on the cake was the release of the NES Classic in 2016, which was sold out everywhere, again driving up prices online.
So what does this have to do with Little Samson? Well, everything!
The demand for old cartridges were back, and chain stores like Funkoland, who were now GameStop, no longer had the stock that people needed for their newfound Retrons. So where did all the gamers turn? The internet, namely eBay. The demand quickly drove up prices for many of the classic cartridges, and people were suddenly willing to pay considerably more for what only a few years ago was $1 or $2. And unfortunately for us collectors, most local used game stores rely on online prices as a price guide for their in-store inventory. So as you can imagine, the prices skyrocketed there as well, and now we're stuck in this inflated rut. Mix the demand from online stores with the collective knowledge of game rarity from online sources, along with the new collective knowledge of history of certain games, thanks to YouTube gaming webisodes, along with everyone wanting to collect as many NES games as they can, you now have a ton of demand for certain games that there are very few of. So what is the future for games like Little Samson? Will the price ever drop from its 4-figure mark?
In my honest opinion, yes.
Right now, I think that the retro gaming market is in a bubble, and that bubble is about to burst.
Why do I think this? Well, since 2016, we've already seen quite a drop in prices of retro games, and this is why.
Much of the hype over these old games due to the Retron systems and the NES Classic will slow down in the upcoming years. With any high-end collectibles comes the problem of counterfeiters, and the NES games are not terribly difficult to counterfeit and fool an untrained eye. And not all of them are even created with malicious intent. There are shops all over the internet that specialize in creating replicas of high-priced games. Little Samson replicas, for instance, can be bought for $20 to $50 online to complete your collection. The problem with this is that these replicas are quite convincing.
Now there are ways to spot a fake game, and I'll go into more detail about that in another video.
But with these fakes running rampant in this market, people will be less willing to spend ridiculous amounts of money to complete their collection. Those people, after realizing the financial impossibility of getting all the games, will begin offing their commons. And when the collecting hype dies down, and only the long-term collectors are still in the game, there will be a large surplus of cartridges that will have nowhere to go, triggering a huge online price drop in common and uncommon games. Another thing that I believe will drive down prices of older cartridges is the advent of these Raspberry Pi emulators.
Now, this is a Raspberry Pi emulator. Now, emulators have been around for years.
Just download your emulation software on your computer or your phone and play whatever ROM you want, no matter how rare. But the Raspberry Pi system brings an ease to both downloading and playing on the TV that were not available until the past couple years.
Even easier than that is the plug-and-play NES Classic. But those, like a lot of the cartridges of games that these contain, are also overinflated. These are running about $150 online right now, at best, which is why many people have been gravitating towards those Raspberry Pi emulators.
I mean, really, if you just want to play Little Samson on your TV, which would you rather do? Spend $3,000 on the cartridge, or spend less than $100 on a user-friendly emulator that can be played on your TV loaded with thousands of games? Does this mean we'll see Little Samson drop back down to the $40 to $90 range? Probably not. But we will see a decrease in value as cheaper alternatives flood the market.
But the final thing, and the most important thing, that will drive retro game prices down is you, me, us, gamers.
Folks, these games are worth exactly what we're willing to pay for them. Don't want to pay $7 to $10 for a shitty game like Top Gun?
Don't! I've picked up 150 games or more in just the past couple months. And I haven't spent more than $4 on most of them. $2 on a lot of them.
The trick is simple. Set yourself a limit per game and don't go over it. Look for bulk sales. I mean, obviously you're not going to get games like Contra or Mega Man for $5, but that's fine. Even at its cheapest back in 1998, they went for at least $15, which is what I actually got Mega Man 3 for recently. And I've been perusing online prices over the past few months, and I've already seen that auctions are going unsold at starting prices that just last year would have been backed with 20 bids. But in the meantime, sit down, relive and enjoy some of the favorite moments of your childhood, whether it be on an emulator like this, or consoles like this, or the real deal, like these.